Hello, wherever you are in the world. Good morning, good evening, and good vibes to everyone. Welcome to Fabriano 2020 Online. For this demo, I thought I'd paint in this size so I can get the camera much closer. And if you wish to paint along, get your paints ready and allow me to take you through the steps for the next hour. So without further ado, may I present to you a great white shark. If you look at the shark, the overall shape looks like an almond. So the shark is coming towards us in perspective. So the head, the mouth is so much bigger than the body, and the body sort of recedes into the background. And that's what I'm trying to capture here. So here I am at the mouth area and just drawing its the belly. It's got a big belly, and just trying to look at the angles and how the body, how to describe the body, just sort of receding into the background. So I'm still thinking about that almond shape and how I can sort of describe that other end of the almond to sort of recede into the background. And the eye placement, so the initial lines that I sketch are not going to be final. They're not definite. It's all about just trying to get a good placement of the features and the proportions, and I will be correcting these lines, as you can see. All right, and so the pencil that I'm using is HB, I believe, and I'm trying not to put too much pressure on my pencil here. I don't want any hard lines anywhere. Sometimes the lead can actually create grooves in your paper if you put too much pressure on it. Okay, so I am making these corrections here, and you'll see that I'll be erasing the other lines that I don't need so I don't confuse myself later on when I start painting. And as I was drawing this, I was actually looking into the LCD screen of my camera. So it was very challenging because I usually look at the paper when I'm drawing. So I also have the paper laying flat on my table. This is not being drawn at an angle. So with you guys, take your time and just visualize that almond shape and just do the best you can. And it doesn't have to be really accurate, just as long as it looks like a shark, that's fine. All sharks, they all kind of look similar, but you know, they're different. They're that didn't make any sense. But as long as your shark looks like a shark, that's good enough. So I'm not going to spend 10 minutes on this. I'm actually almost done. Yeah, so what else can I say? The belly has to be just a little bit bigger than the bottom half of the shark just has to be more swollen, I guess, or bigger than its upper half. So in terms of proportion, think of it that way. Just the bottom half is much more, feels like it's more heavy, has more weight to it. Now I'm drawing these light lines here just to show you how the light sort of curves from the top, and it curves all the way around to the bottom. You don't have to sketch in these lines, but this is just to let you guys know what I'm thinking. So I'm already thinking ahead about this shape and how to paint this shape later on to make it more 3D looking. Okay, so here I am making more corrections, just slight corrections. Thought it was a little bit too fat. I'm moving the tail a bit because I feel that it would look weird just sort of jutting out of its front fin. Okay, I'm almost there. Just a bit more adjustments, and make sure to just take your time here because the sketch is very important. This is the framework or the skeleton of your painting, and that's it. So I'm using cobalt blue and light red and the yellow light, and I'm squeezing just enough. I'm not squeezing a whole lot onto my palette here, just enough to get started. And if I need more, and I'm pretty sure that I will need a lot more later on, then I'll just add it, squeeze more out of the tube. Okay, so 3 brushes. I'm going to take away that, and use the biggest brush. So I'm using a number 10 and a number 4 round brush. Just these 2 brushes for this demo. Now, this biggest brush is still too small actually for the scene that I will be painting. So, right, now I am mixing just a pure blue puddle here. Okay, and now I'm starting a new puddle, which is a combination of the light red and the blue. So it's going to come out a really sort of grayish purple color. And I'm starting another puddle here, which is going to be darker than the second. And I already ran out of blue, as you can see. So for those who are afraid of mixing their darks, how to get darks, this is a great activity that you can do, because this will really take you out of your comfort zone and just use the pigment, like a lot of pigment. Okay, so I'm adding even more blue. The light red actually is a very strong color. A little bit goes a long way, and I added quite a bit of that red earlier, so I have to compensate now by adding even more blue. Now don't worry, you're not going to be wasting your paints, because you will be using all of these puddles. You will be running out of it very quickly, so we will be mixing more of this later on. So there you go. Here's the third puddle. This third puddle now is going to be it's going to be more blue than the second puddle. So the second puddle is a purple, and this one is just going to be sort of the same purple but a bit more blue. So it's a bluer kind of purple. And I'm starting a fourth one here, so just more blue again. And the fourth will be even bluer than the third, but not as blue as the first. Okay, so nope, I'm not done yet. All right, so yeah, here we go. More blue. Now, the puddles I'm preparing are for the background. Actually, the whole scene. The whole scene. We're going to be painting the whole scene. Background and the shark at the same time. So here we go. Just a little bit more adjustments. All right. And there we go. The puddles are done. Okay, I'm going to be using two brushes to paint the entire scene. So I dip my brush into my water supply, and you can see the water is a little bit tinted with some of that blue there from all that puddle mixing, just so you can see now what areas I'm wetting and how much of it I'm wetting. So I'm starting off with the background. Wetting those areas because those are the lighter parts of the deep blue sea. Okay. All right, I'm splattering some bits. I'm splattering some water here and there as well. Okay, so I'm not wetting the entire page. I don't need to. And now I'm just wetting the shark as well. Just a little bit. Just let the splatters go onto the shark. Don't worry. It loves water. Here we go. Let's begin. Okay, now using the same brush, my big brush. And I'll start from the upper left corner, right here. It's nice and dark. Look at that. Just nice and strong color. And now I'm getting closer to the clear water that I dropped on the paper, and it's starting to sort of find its way into the clear water. There we go. And I'll be alternating between the strong puddle, the second puddle, and the third one, which is a medium. Okay, so just try to, navigate your way towards the shark. Right now, I dipped into my blue. And it's just a matter of, covering that area, because that area in the picture sort of recedes. So recedes into the background. So there's not a lot of light being shown in this area. It's supposed to be darker. Okay, and I just ran out of puddle, folks. Look at that. Well, that's fine. I'm not panicking yet, because where I left the pigments on the paper, they are touching the water, so it's still wet. I don't have to worry about them drying, but I shouldn't take too long mixing. So it gets lighter now as we get closer to the shark. And the lightest part will be above that shark. Okay. Now I still have that lower right corner to take care of, so I'm just ooh, that was really red. Yeah, oof, that was so red. I can't use that. So I try to wipe it off on another area of my palette, so I decided to just use the third puddle instead. I don't want to spend too much time on that second one. I'll come back to that later. The paper is still quite moist, and now I am painting painting the shark, connecting the background with the shark, and I'm also thinking about the area that I had already painted, and it is getting quite damp, and I just splattered some water right there and see what sort of effects it could give me. Now with the shark, there are lighter areas on the shark's head, because it's close to the surface of the water, and the light is refracting as it enters the water, so it's causing all sorts of reflections. And over here, I kind of painted over an area that I shouldn't have, and just trying to lift that out if I could. Okay, now I have to be careful here with the head. I want to make sure that there are light areas, and my water supply is actually stained already, but yeah, I don't have a second one. It would be a good idea to have a second one on standby. Okay, so as you can see, I am painting over the shark. Painting it with the background. Okay. Okay, now over here I am just getting some of those really bright highlights, the reflections from the water there. I'm just keeping it loose, and I'm sort of painting in the direction of, you know, the curve of the body. And just where the body turns into its belly, you know, there are like darker marks on its skin. Okay, and then I am going down to the front fin there. And just that small corner left to go. And after that, we're done with the first wash. So that the background is just abstract, and the shark is just, you know, all you have to do is just leave some brighter areas around its face. I went downstairs to get some tissue paper because there are areas here that, you know, because I tried lifting it out earlier and it was very wet, the wetness just covered everything again. And I'm just trying to see if I can lighten some more areas while it's still wet or damp. Okay, it almost looks like I'm powdering its face. Well, the shark is the star of the show, so I will be painting a second wash over this. I will be preparing basically the same puddles. So if you notice that second puddle there where I introduced quite a bit of red, I'm going to use that now and do a new set of puddles. So nothing is wasted. So I squeezed more blue, and this is why paints that are fresh out of the tube is essential for painting something like this. Using dry cakes is just gonna, you're never gonna get it this dark. Okay, so basically the same puddles, and I'm gonna start with the background again, this time leaving the shark out for now. So this is the second wash for the water. Still using my big brush, your biggest brush. All right, now look at all the blooms. Isn't that beautiful? That's something that you can't paint on your own. And this is what the water painted for me. Okay, so again, this time some clear water. Well, my water isn't clear anymore, but it'll do. If you can change yours, that would be better. I'm on the second floor here, and I was kind of lazy to go down and change my water supply. So this part of the water is the lightest part of the water. So I have to make sure that I don't go too dark. And I am painting just around the body of the shark. Okay. And painting around its dorsal fin. Now I want the top part of that water to be quite light. Excuse my hand there, but I have to paint at this angle to paint around the other side of its dorsal fin. Okay, and again, just around the shark, just to give it some shape. As you can see, because I'm painting around that shark, the first wash that had already dried is the shark. So in a way, we already painted most of the shark during the first wash. Okay, and yeah, so this part, actually this part is still easy because you're just painting the water, and the water is an abstract shape, so it's relaxing. It's relaxing. That's what I could say. Okay, now with this second wash, I want to make sure to blend it in with the first wash that had already dried. So I will have to, and to blend it, I'll just use some of that supposedly clean water later on. Okay. And here I painted over the shark, so I'm just trying to lift some of that that mistake out. And yeah, that's fine. Okay, so while I am painting this background and slowly cutting out the shape of that shark, it's really cool to see the effect happen before your eyes, because it's like a puzzle, right? So I have the bottom half of the water to go. Okay. Yeah, I got some tissue, and I'm just making sure that none of the paints and the moisture are flowing back to the shark's head there. All right, and just dipped into some of my stronger puddle, and I'm doing just a bunch of swirly lines because that area is still kind of moist. Okay, There you go. So the dorsal fin is actually touching the surface of the water there. It's just peeking out from up above. Yep. So whenever you see a shark's fin sticking out of the water, well, this is how it looks underneath. Isn't that cool? And I'm not, trying to be faithful to the reference photo. The reference photo is just a guide to sort of capture that that mood, that feeling of, the deep blue sea. So this bottom part of the water isn't as dark as the corners, the left corner of the paper. That part of the water isn't that important. It's not that important. It's just part of an bigger abstract shape. Don't worry about it. It's the fin now that I'm getting to, which is, I'm thinking whether to leave the fin out or if I should paint it at the same time as the darker parts of the water. Because the fin is so much darker than the rest of its body. And here I am thinking, yep, I am just gonna go for it. I'll just paint the fin as if I'm painting the water. Just a few adjustments here and there. Splattering some more. And that just gives it, you know, some more room to play with your washes and see what kind of interesting effects you can get out of it. Okay? Now, again, more blue. And I will be mixing pretty much the same puddle. So this is the third time we're going to be mixing, you know, those puddles. So this is a lot of blue that I'm using here. So I'm just only using 3 colors here, cobalt blue, light red, and light yellow, or Hansa yellow light. So yeah, use whatever you know, blue, reds, and yellows that you have. It would be interesting to see, you know, what kind of color combinations you can get out of your own colors. So I'm thinking about where to begin and start at the top. It's got some patterns on its head. I'm not trying to copy the patterns exactly, but I'm just sort of painting an impression of the markings. Okay, now I'm applying, it looks like I'm applying some blush on here. And yeah, what I'm trying to do here is to sort of describe the caustics that happen because of the refracted light as it penetrates the water surface, and it creates these pattern of waves, this pattern of waves on the shark's body. Just very subtly, you know, you don't have to spend all day on it. Just enough to read that there is a some play of light happening. And now I am painting its snout. The snout is a very sensitive part of the shark. If you can manage to punch the snout, as I have learned, it sends an overwhelming shock back to its brain, and it's going to retreat. That's if you manage to aim for its snout and not into its mouth. Okay, now it looks like it's too dark with my blue, but don't worry, it always dries lighter. Okay, so I'm going darker now as it recedes to its mouth because, you know, it gets darker and darker because there's very little light shining on its mouth. So I'm just trying to lift out some areas that need to be white. Okay, so I'm painting the lower half of the shark. So I'm not going to touch its cheek. I'm just painting in, and I'm also painting over its mouth and the teeth as well. Just paint over it. Don't worry about it. So I'll just paint the fins here, that front fin, and a bit of the tail sort of peeking out of its body there. As you can see, the shark is there's a 3D feel to the shark already. And once I start painting in the mouth, then you will see the shark just come together so quickly. And I'm just rubbing off some of that watermark that I'm seeing. It's still wet enough, so I was able to get rid of that hard edge. You probably can't see it from where you're sitting. And then I'm just checking. I'm looking at areas that might have some watermarks happening where I don't want them to happen. I'm just painting in the eye because that part is dry, and I can work on that while the belly, while the belly dries. Okay, now over here I am painting some of the markings that separate the top portion of the shark and the bottom part and the bottom portion of the shark. So as you can see, the reference photo, again, I'm not really faithfully adhering to it. I sometimes glance at it once in a while. I'm actually looking at the camera, at the painting, and the reference photo as I'm painting. So I'm just lifting some parts of its body just to sort of indicate that it's been through some some rough battles under the sea. So it's got some scarring on its body. Yeah, I think the body dried a little bit too much, so I'm having a bit of a hard time lifting it out. Although, I am lifting bits of it out. That should be fine. this is, we're almost done. We will be painting the belly of the beast. This will be the third pass, and this is going to be even darker. So we want to emphasize the darkness from underneath, yeah? Okay, so I will be painting some clear water there where the body turns into the belly. So I'm thinking I should change my water supply. It is getting really dirty. So clear water, clean water, but mine isn't that clean. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I decided to just change it. There you go, changed it. And as I paint, I am being very aware of where that clear water is, so I don't paint over that. I just sort of try to touch and kiss it. That's all. Okay, and again, I'm painting over its mouth and teeth. Switch to my bigger brush. I feel I need a bit more clear water here to get rid of that hard edge. More water still. I want to keep that as is. So you see the effect now happening very nicely, very quickly. There's definitely so much more, volume now, more dimension to this shark. And there's just a bit of that overlap there from its mouth that I want to try to capture in shadow. And that's just the wrinkles underneath that flap. Just adjusting some of the strength there. And once the wash on the belly dries, then I will go back into the mouth and make that darker. So this is the last part here, and I'm just going really dark. So mixture of all three colors to sort of make it a neutral gray even, but it's going to be more of a grayish purple. All I'm doing is just painting the inside of the mouth. No, yeah, I'm painting the inside of the mouth, and sorry about the glare there. From where I'm standing, I can actually see the difference, the separation now between the mouth and the rest of its body. I'm also painting around its teeth. So just being sort of a little bit more careful now with my brush strokes. And then I want to get that pocket, that flap, that overlap there. And this is when I noticed the glare, so I'm just using my hands to sort of hide some of that light shining. And I thought of maybe raising the paper using some tape. And this is the only time that I actually raise it on an incline. I've been painting flat the entire time. So you can see that you can see the teeth now. So what I'm doing here is I'm just adjusting the shadows a bit more. Part of its mouth needs to have more shadow. Okay, so this is pretty much done, and I'm just doing these small adjustments here and there while the wash is still wet. What's great about this subject, the shark underwater, is that, it's more forgiving in the sense that, I don't have to worry too much about the blooms. This actually works out well. I don't have to worry about smooth gradients anywhere. So I'm just adjusting the shadows of the water underneath the shark. So I'm not painting over the fins. I'm trying not to. Again, I apologize about the glare. But this is significantly much darker. There you go. Well, you can't really see it even if I block it, but you'll see it later. Okay, so I'll just do a little bit on that side. So as you can see, I haven't wasted any paint at all. At this point, I'm just trying to use it all up. Whatever's left, I'm just trying to use it up now. Even if I used quite a lot of blue
for this painting, I actually feel good because that blue, well, most of it ended up here in this painting, and that I don't have to worry about, any of it drying later on. And there you go, just wetting that part. And I thought of maybe trying to do some light streaks coming through, if I could do that with the remaining puddle, what's left. We have a combination of soft edges, hard edges. We have done 3 layers of wet on wet painting. Every layer of wash is done in one go. So now I show you that you can actually glaze or layer on top of your paintings and still using wet on wet technique. I try as much as possible to keep it no more than 3 layers, 3 glazes. Anything more than that will appear very overworked and less of a watercolor painting. Okay, that's it. This is it, folks.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this demo of a great white shark. Stay tuned for more demos like this from talented watercolor masters from all over the world. On behalf of Fabriano in Aquarello 2020 Online, may your brushes stay wet and your paints never dry. Stay safe, folks, and I'll catch you all later.